Good evening, and welcome to Educate Our Youth broadcast. I'm your host, Janet Keith Thompson, the CEO and co-founder of the Mamie Keith and Eileen Bradley Educational Foundation, also known as Educate Our Youth. Our guest this afternoon is Ms. Ciara Frierson. The mission of Educate Our Youth is to make college more accessible through education, mentoring, professional development, and any other means available to students by offering programs such as SAT, ACT workshops, college tours, assistance with applying financial aid, financial literacy, young entrepreneurship, and athletes and academics. So let's welcome Ms. Ciara Frierson this afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm great. Can you give us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so like Janet said, my name is Ciara Frierson. I'm an admissions counselor at Winthrop University. As far as the territories where I recruit our students, I usually recruit them in Florida, in the Myrtle Beach area, Florence, Conway. I've been in admissions for about 4 years now. So I help students find the right niche, select a major, and see if Winthrop is the best fit for them. Not only am I an admissions counselor, but I'm also an alumni. So I graduated from Winthrop with a BA in Modern Languages and a concentration in Spanish in 2015.
All right, sounds great. So let's talk about that fit. If it is Winthrop a fit for students?
So yes, I feel like if a student, when selecting a school, there's a lot that goes into it. Winthrop specifically, if a student is wanting not necessarily a bigger school or a smaller institution, but right in the middle, then it's the best fit. If you're wanting hands-on experience, that undergraduate research, that personal connection with the faculty member, that one-on-one interaction, I definitely feel like Winthrop is a great fit for students because they're able to receive it coming in as a freshman as well as the end of their college career, so as a senior.
Great. So how do you see the difference between 2 and 4-year institutions?
So the difference between like a 2-year and a 4-year college, there are some distinguishing factors. First, a 2-year college is mostly known as a community college, and a 4-year college, some people call it an institution or a university. Depending on what kind of program you are interested in, you may want to attend to a 2-year college and then segue or transition to a 4-year school. Just to kind of give you an example, if someone is wanting to become a dental hygienist, they might only need to attend a 2-year college. So knowing more about what you're interested in will definitely help students figure out if they need to attend a 2-year school, so a technical college, or a 4-year school. With attending a 2-year college, students are able to go ahead and get an associate's degree. However, it doesn't go beyond an associate's degree. After that, if a student is seeking further education, they would have to transition to that 4-year college. So let's say if I wanted to be a marine biologist, I may be able to get an associate's degree in applied sciences at a 2-year college, but I need to transition to a 4-year school and then later on go somewhere that can offer me a PhD if it's not offered at the 4-year college.
Okay.
Also, just to mention, cost is a different factor between a 2-year and a 4-year school as well. So for South Carolina students, if someone is like a South Carolina Life Scholarship recipient, their school may be paid for if they go to a 2-year school. However, if they go to a 4-year school, that scholarship is only going to cover just a portion of their cost of attendance.
Oh, okay. I know there were some students from Conway High School and the Georgetown High School area that went to a technical college in your area and then transferred to Winthrop. I don't know the name of the technical college, but I know it's a college in your area that they decided to do 2 years there, and then they went on to Winthrop.
Yep,
So,
so students do have that option.
yeah, which is good because they save costs for the first 2 years, as far as tuition is concerned. And if they're having difficulty with any particular course, they have an opportunity to pull that GPA up before they transfer.
That's correct.
Yeah. So let's talk. Why Winthrop?
So there's a lot of reasons why I could
Yes.
say why Winthrop. That might be a
Convince.
little biased.
No, it convinced me to send my granddaughter to Winthrop.
Yeah, so why Winthrop? I think Winthrop is a diverse community. I think it's not, when you look at Winthrop as a whole, it's just not an institution, it's not a university, it's a community, it's a family. If you are trying, if a student might be shy, definitely, I believe the university would take them out of their comfort zone and help them to blossom socially, academically, and much more. Why Winthrop? Because of the small class sizes.
Okay.
You get that one-on-one interaction, but also, say if a student is kind of timid with asking a question, then that small setting, they would be a little bit more comfortable. They're not a number. Most students that choose Winthrop definitely come because of that reason. They do not want to be considered a number at all. The professors know their name. They know when they're in attendance and when they're not attending at all. But also, why Winthrop? It's a return on investment. We have great partnerships, not only in the area, but also all over. So we have students who are able to get jobs at high firms in Charlotte, North Carolina, but also in Florida as well. So.
Right, right. I did a little history. Well, actually, I did a little research on Winthrop about the history, and I saw where minorities weren't allowed there until 1964, and then it became co-ed in 1974. But and I toured Winthrop when I worked in higher ed with a group of students, and I think it's a beautiful campus. Very pleased with what I saw when we toured that campus. So. You give it credit. It's really a nice school, and also being in classrooms where your numbers are small. It's a big difference sitting in a classroom with 20 kids compared to 31 or 35 students.
Yeah, and
So tell me
the other
about the
thing,
admission process.
yeah. So
Go ahead.
yeah. So another thing I wanted to mention when you said the smaller classes, I also wanted to touch on diversity. We definitely pride ourselves in diversity, and I think that's why a lot of students choose us. Diversity doesn't just mean race, and inclusion as well. We pride ourselves on inclusion. So diversity doesn't just mean race and ethnicity, but it also is like gender, sexuality, things of that nature.
Right.
So that's why a lot of students also come to Winthrop, because they feel as if they can be themselves, their true, authentic self. So.
Good. Sounds great. So let's go through the admission process for Winthrop. What some of the do's and don'ts?
Yeah. So just for Winthrop, and then I'll speak in general terms as well.
Okay.
When applying to Winthrop, we're actually on two platforms. So our application is on our website, and it's actually currently free. So students are able to apply to Winthrop for free until November 1st.
Okay.
However, our application is also on the Common app. As far as what to do, after you have applied to the university, a student would have to submit their unofficial high school transcript, and their SAT, ACT scores.
Right. Okay.
officially. Now, as far as the do's and don'ts in the college admissions process as a whole, when you are looking to apply to colleges, and just to give an example, say if the college that you are applying to requires an essay, if another college you apply to requires an essay as well, and it happens to be the same topic, definitely change the name of the college.
Of course.
We have seen that before where it might say another institution's name. So it's a big indicator to admissions counselors that it was a quick copy and paste. So definitely, overlook, recheck your work before submitting your application if it does require an essay portion. So that is really big.
Okay, well, I just got a notice from Miss Hatcher. She said her grandson attends Winthrop and he loves it. So we're glad to so that's good. That's good.
Oh, great, Miss Hatcher. I'm so glad that he decided to come to Winthrop.
Yeah, it's his first year there, she said.
Okay, well, I hope he's enjoying it so far.
Yeah, but it's really a great school. When you talk about the application process, do y'all require an essay?
So as of right now, we do not require an essay. So when a student does go through the admissions process, it's very, or the application process is really smooth. We ask questions like what courses you are taking currently. For example, if a student is taking dual enrollment courses, we ask that as well, so we can be on the lookout for a college transcript in addition to your high school transcript. But no.
Okay. And with COVID, a lot of universities, students have to submit an SAT or ACT score. Is that the way it is with your institution?
Yeah, so as of right now, we are still requiring students to submit standardized tests. However, I know that is in the works of being looked at. So in the event that we do decide to become test optional, we will inform students that, we have done without the SAT, ACT, and then.
Okay.
Okay.
Listen, I need to remind my guests to please post questions on our Facebook page and also like us on our Facebook page. So let's talk about the financial aid portion. I know a lot of students, you said you have institutional scholarships, and there are monies that students can receive from your universities in addition to grants and other loans. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that is correct. I think one thing to note is there's a difference from the FAFSA and there's a difference from financial aid. So I just wanted to talk about that really quickly. So the FAFSA is the federal aid that students would complete that document on FAFSA.gov. So they would complete that. It would ask a series of questions, and then a student would submit their FAFSA. The FAFSA opens up October 1st. Even if a student doesn't know where he or she wants to attend, it's always beneficial to go ahead and start it, submit it, and then send it off to the schools that you are interested in, because throughout your senior year, your workload is going to become busy and it's going to fall in the back of your mind. So go ahead and send it in to whatever schools you may be interested in. So that is the FAFSA. The FAFSA considers like work study, Pell Grants. So it's looking at, a family's expected family contribution. If parents have any assets, or if there's other children that they have in college as well, they're looking at that to determine what aid a student can qualify for, whether that's grants or loans or anything, any type of grant. But when it does come to scholarships, that is different. So you have outside scholarships, and then you have institutional scholarships. So each college is different. So, for example, At Winthrop, we have merit-based scholarships, but there's also departmental scholarships and talent-based scholarships. So say if I was a student who was interested in dance, or if I was interested in, what's another one? Not only dance, but also anything that's CVPA related, which is visual and performing arts, then they can audition for those. And if they do receive that award, then it will appear on their financial aid package. So their financial aid package is the whole deal, which includes the FAFSA, any institutional scholarships, talent scholarships, outside scholarships. As far as our scholarships, they're more merit-based, and we look at these, we automatically review students for these scholarships when they apply. So when they've applied and we've received, for example, if a student applies and we receive their test scores and their high school transcript, we're able to say, okay, this student had this certain GPA, SAT, ACT score, we can award this scholarship.
I see. Mm-hmm. So tell me, what it's like to be a first-year student at Winthrop?
So it's, like I said, I might be biased, but I think it's a great experience to be a first-year student at Winthrop. It's a lot as far as you're transitioning from high school to college. So before a student gets there, you will already be prepared because you would have attended orientation, which helps students with that transition. So you come to Winthrop for a couple of days and kind of get acclimated to the university, where buildings are located, but also help you navigate, explore the campus, and meet other students who also have decided to commit to Winthrop. So as a first-year student, it's eventful. It's filled with activities, but also it's an experience of learning who you are as a person. So you'll truly find yourself. You'll find your niche. Your first year, you'll find out where you belong. As far as the Winthrop experience, you are learning how to cultivate yourself as a person. You're learning how to grow and thrive academically your first year. So just kind of a few examples with that. You gain writing experience. You might go to the academic resource center and grow that way. So we call it the Winthrop experience.
The Winthrop experience. Yes. So tell me, under the Winthrop experience, so is there good academic support for tutoring, writing classes, writing centers, study areas?
Yeah, so there's an abundance of resources that we do offer at campus or on campus. That's actually one of the reasons why I chose to go to Winthrop, because it was just plentiful. As far as the resources, students can get tutoring in 50 courses. Some of those, so they can receive tutoring in those courses. They would just attend a brief seminar, and after that, they would be able to go ahead and register for the course that they might find challenging. Besides that, we have a math tutorial center. So say if someone finds Calc 101 to be challenging, as far as the math tutorial center, they can receive assistance from a math professor. The same thing with the writing center. It would only be by students who are on the graduate level, who have majored in English in undergrad and who are doing that as a graduate student. So.
Okay. What is the percentage of students that graduate in 4 years from Winthrop?
So I want to say, I don't have the exact number, but I want to say it's around between the 60 and 65 percentile. However, say if students, we kind of call it a 5-year plan. So if students don't graduate in the 4 years, then they definitely graduate in 5. But our goal is to, our goal is to get students to graduate in 4 years. There's many reasons why. And mainly, we want to see them succeed, but also for like scholarship purposes. What students fail to realize is your scholarships start ticking. It's a countdown on it when you go to college. So say, for example, if a student decides to go to a community college, then transition to Winthrop, their life scholarship already started at that 2-year college, and they only have 2 years left at Winthrop. So that's why it's always good to start your junior year and looking at what you want, what's the best fit, what you don't want. I always say once you step your foot on a campus, you'll know if it's for you or not.
Right. Exactly. So you have students that live on campus, because I visit your dorms, nice dorms. But you also, students can also, are they allowed to live off campus as well?
Yeah, so they do have that option. If students decide to live off campus, it's for 2 reasons, or there's 2 ways to live off of campus. As an incoming freshman, if the student lives 50 miles within the radius of the university, they can commute, of course. So that means live off campus.
Right.
However, I will say the college experience would be different from living on campus to living off campus. Say if the student is from Conway or Horry Georgetown, it would be mandatory for them to live on campus because they are further away.
Right.
If they decided to transfer to Winthrop, so that means, they even did a semester at a 2-year college and then transition to Winthrop, they would have the opportunity to live off of campus. But I always suggest living on campus. Coming in as a freshman, your first 2 years living on campus definitely sets the foundation, not only academically, but socially. And you'll be able to build friendships, lifelong memories, and also develop your networking skills.
And safer, I think it'll be safer, to be on campus. So how accessible are your administrators to the students in your registrar's office, financial aid, your admissions office, or does kids have problems getting into these offices to see staff?
Can you ask that again? I couldn't hear your question. I'm sorry.
I was asking how accessible are the administrators to the students and the registrar's office. Sometimes it's been my experience when I was in school, you would go into the registrar's office and you have to wait for a while, or there was never nobody in there to tell you exactly what you need to know, or you had to come back. Do y'all work harder at being more accessible to your students?
Oh yeah, most definitely. As far as like staff and faculty, they are accessible. Let's say, for example, if a student needed to withdraw out of a class, they could go to the registrar office and do so. Or say if it's their first year and they're unaware of how the withdrawal process works from a course, they can go to that specific facility and they would assist them. So our faculty and staff are very accessible.
Okay. Again, I would like to tell my audience to please post your questions and comments for our special guest. Okay, so are your classes lecture-based or are they discussion-based?
So I kind of like to say it's a mixture, and it kind of depends on your major as well. So say if someone was an education major, they may have, depending on where they're at in their program, it may be a lecture or it may be more hands-on experience. So they might be doing their student teaching at the time. But a lot of our faculty members try to make the course engaging and interactive as well. So say if you have a class of just 10 people, the professor is not he's not going to want to lecture the entire time. He's going to want to engage in conversation. So that's one thing that I really appreciated, because everyone knows that when it comes to listening to just one person speak the entire time, you may lose interest. So that's why they want to make it interactive and fun.
So do you excuse me, do you have abroad where you study abroad programs at Winthrop?
Yeah, so I actually studied abroad my undergraduate year, and I'm a big advocate for students studying abroad. We are partnered with 19 programs for students to study abroad with. So some students may go to, I know that some students go to Ireland. That's a big one. Seville is really big. Another one is Salamanca. So it just depends on where students want to go. But they do have the opportunity to study abroad for a semester, a year, or a week. If they've decided to study abroad for a week, then that means they did a faculty-led program. So they went with their class. So that means they went with their professor. And they went during a time that was, during break. So it might have been during fall break, or it might have been during Christmas break.
So how is that funded? Does the students have to put money towards the travel and housing expense, or does the college and university supply them with financial assistance?
So it definitely depends on where a student decides to study abroad at. If we have if we have a partnership with a program in that country, then it's basically the equivalent of the cost of attendance at Winthrop. So I always share my experience to kind of give that example. So when I was abroad in Seville, my scholarships went abroad with me, and those were the state scholarships. So even if students do have financial aid, I would speak with the financial aid department to see if your institutional aid will go abroad. Depending on a student's major, it may be best to study abroad at a certain time. So that time may be their sophomore year, first semester, or it may be their junior year, second semester.
So you have to have a certain GPA to study abroad. And I think you majored in Spanish, right? Is that your reason? Okay.
So yeah, you don't have to have a certain major to study abroad at all. I think if a student is not aware of the language, then it's always best to choose a country where English may either be the first language or the second language that's spoken in that country. That's why students may go to Dublin. But if a student has some knowledge of the language, I think it is beneficial to go there. But as far as when it comes to housing, students do have the opportunity to, if it is available, students can live on campus at that institution. I thought what would be beneficial for me so that I can culturally immerse myself into the language was to have a host family. So I lived with a family and my host mom's children.
Okay. So is there support to help students find internships? Which you're in a good area where you're near Charlotte, and there's a lot of industry in that area, in the Rockett area. So there should be something. Should be easy.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I love Winthrop is that we help students make those connections. So say if, it's time for a student to do an internship, they can go speak with their professor and say, hey, I'm looking to do an internship or go into this career. Are you able to help me get into this location or this business or anything of that nature? Now, some majors already require an internship. So to give you an example, we're partnered with 9 districts in the area of Rock Hill. So that's 9 school districts. So students who are wanting to major in education, whether that's middle level or whether that's K through 12, they're able to do their student teaching. So we automatically have those partnerships versus someone who is wanting to major in business administration. The partnership isn't already set. It's more so you have to reach out to your professor so that your professor can build that connection.
I see.
And certain majors do require internships and other
Okay.
majors don't require it. However, I always suggest students to do an internship because it already sets the foundation of not only networking, but building that platform into your career.
Exactly, because that's a nice reference on your resume.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. So let's talk sports. Does Winthrop have a football team, basketball team, track? What's going on in the athletic department at Winthrop?
Yeah, so we have, so unfortunately, we always like to say we're undefeated in football because we don't have a football team, but that's completely fine. But we have other sports that are considered Division I, so we are Division I school. So we do have men and women basketball. There's a good bit. We have soccer. Those are some of the ones that I can think of off the top of my head. But I believe there's about 16 sports that we have as of right now.
Okay. What about band or concert band or marching band?
So yeah, unfortunately, we do not have concert band. We do have a music ensemble. So if students are wanting to participate in that, I do believe they would have to audition. There is a musical choir that we do have because I was a part of it in my undergrad days. That's called WUVOP. The students, if they enjoy singing, they can do that as an extracurricular activity. But as far as a band, like a marching band, unfortunately, we don't have. We do have a band that is used during our basketball games.
Okay.
So students can participate in that too.
Oh, okay. So students are allowed with car, that's the question I always ask, which, about having cars on campus. I know freshmen are they allowed or not allowed?
Yeah, so freshmen, they are allowed to have a vehicle on campus.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. So that will entice students to apply to Winthrop because most campuses you can't have a car as your freshman year. So I'm sorry, I got thrown off. But anyway, what else can you tell us about Winthrop before we go to let the audience know? Is there anything else that we need to talk about, or you can tell us about Winthrop?
One thing I did want to touch on is our AMP program. I think that's one thing that makes Winthrop stand out. So if students are if students of color are interested in majoring in accounting or finance, we are partnered up with PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is a big firm in New York. So with that program, they would receive mentorship in accounting. So they would have a mentor, but they would also receive funding. They would get a stipend, and then they would also be able to do an internship as early as I want to say the end of their freshman year.
Okay. Well, listen, I need to tell the audience this is our virtual college tour series, and next week we will have Mr. Singley on from Allen University. He's a mission counselor there. One of the reasons I want to do this segment because of not being able to travel to different campuses. So this is a way of bringing the colleges to the people in this area, parents and students. So I want everybody to join me next week with with Mr. Singler from Allen University, and I want to thank Ms. Ciara Frierson for being our guest today. You're very informative, and hopefully I only took some notes while you were talking.
Thank you so much for having me here today. It was a pleasure.
You're quite welcome, and we don't know when we're going to get out this COVID thing, but next year this time, if we still stationed at home, I'll be contacting you.
Thank you so much.
All right. You have a great evening.
You as well.
Thank you.